how we were talking about the 31.5, right?
Yeah.
That's how much money you save. Then the 20% that you're gonna need for the second property, you're pulling it out of the 900. Why? Because you owe less than that. You already owe 870, right? To use round numbers. But this house within 2 years probably went up in value already. So most likely you're gonna be at 950 to $1 million. And this house, you never even lived in it. Or let's say you lived in the front. It was being paid off by somebody else. The mortgage on 900,000, you're probably looking about 7,500 bucks. So if you do 10 months, that's 70,000. 2 years, 140. You're like at 150K of what the tenants have paid instead of you paying. Mm-hmm. Because let's say a duplex right now in San Diego, like how much do people pay for rent on a house?
Like a single home, like two G's maybe.
That you can't find a house. That's an apartment.
Yeah, an apartment.
How much do you pay for an apartment?
Yeah, around that. Yeah.
So then a house, how much is a house rental?
A house rental, you're probably looking like 3,500 bucks.
For 35 to 4. So 35 times 2, that's $7,000. 7 times 12, that's 84,000, right? A year. Multiply that by 2, you're $170,000. That's how much you charge the tenants, not you. You're not paying for it, the tenants are. Mm-hmm. So that's 2 years into it. So let's say if I wait till year number 3, 3 years later, you add another 84,000 to this. You're at 254K. You remember how much 20% is?
180.
180. You have 254, you're not gonna take out the 254, you're gonna take out 180. And then now you have another duplex. So 3 years later, guess what? This one, in 3 years, paid you another $254,000. But you have it times 2 because you already owned this one for another 3. Mm-hmm. So you multiply that by 2, guess what? Now you're sitting about 500K. And it keeps on going. That's why you talk to people who have money. They don't talk about all the liabilities. They don't talk about the cars and the bullshit. They talk about how many properties they own. Why? Because that's where their wealth really comes from. Mm-hmm. You talk to anybody who owns a couple million, what do they have? That we say what assets they have. What properties do they own? How many properties do they have? They all talk about portfolios. Mm-hmm. If you think about some of the biggest companies, what's the first thing they do? McDonald's. Yeah. They're the biggest franchise owners, but why? Because they own the real estate behind it. Mm-hmm. So when we hear about it, it sounds impossible. You hear 900,000, you hear 180K, and you're like, when am I gonna get 180,000? But if you think about it in the beginning with the 31.5, it's a push. Yes, 100%. But we hustle and push for a car that costs $60,000, $70,000, so $100,000. Mm-hmm. Why can't you push yourself for 31.5? Now, is there risk and other things involved? Yes, 100%. But if you play your cards right, I mean, this is the easiest way. Then you rinse and repeat, same thing. Again, you buy a third one. That's where it starts getting tricky. And that's where the real money comes.